Schmo with the pro, with the head coach of Xtreme Couture, Mr. Eric Nicksick, inside your office, Las Vegas, Nevada. How we doing?
This is where I live, brother. I don't leave this place, so, it's been good. So we got some big fights on the hand, but ready to rock and roll.
Well, you don't leave this place unless you're traveling and duty calls. You're going to be heading to Boston pretty soon, yeah?
Yeah, we leave tomorrow morning. Brad Tavares, me and Brad back out in Boston fighting Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman's come back after that gnarly injury, so excited to get back in there.
That's a pretty big-time fight, especially for Chris Weidman. All the emotions, the ESPN documentary, and then you got Brad Tavares, someone you've worked with over the years. He needs a win. Chris needs a win. A lot of high stakes for this one.
Yeah, for sure. And, nothing but the utmost respect for Chris Weidman, former champion, off of gruesome injury. And, credit to him in making this comeback, But you're absolutely right. This is a fight that both men need. Brad's my brother. This is, I think, our 15th fight together. So happy to be back in there with Brad and excited to go out and put on a good performance.
And Brad's someone who's fought the who's who in the middleweight division, all the top dogs. What do you think a victory over Chris Weidman does for him? And where do you think his mindset is at this point of his professional career? Someone who's tasted, the high rankings in the middleweight division, who wants to taste that gold belt.
I think it's huge for him. And Brad has always been predicated on the momentum. We've seen Brad reel off 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. And then he fought Izzy, and then he fought Dricus. He fought these guys that are literally at the top of the division. Yoel Romero at the time when Yoel was coming up, Robert Whitaker. He's fought everybody in the middleweight division. But, Brad is definitely predicated off of momentum. You get a nice couple wins going and you can see Brad reel off 3 or 4 wins with his athleticism and be right back in that fold.
And let's talk about this middleweight division also. Let's talk about Shawn Strickland. He got the fight over there in Australia. He's fighting Israel Adesanya, the champion right there. Yeah. It's going down in the early September. He got the fight.
We got the fight. Who knew? So it's honest to God, it's a testament to Shawn and his willingness to always be in the gym, always be in shape. This does not happen if Shawn takes 2 or 3 weeks off in between fights. He just doesn't. If anything, it's maybe a week. But he's such a good teammate. When a fight's over, he's back into the gym helping his guys that have fights like Brad and Chris Curtis, and Caesar, who just fought on the Contender Series. So it's really a testament to him being a good teammate and willing to get back in the gym all the time that keeps him in shape. Had he just been kind of sitting on the couch, and now legit, we would only had 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks to get ready for arguably one of the best middleweights to ever do it in Israel Adesanya. We would have been, at a detriment. But because of his work ethic, man, he's always staying constantly in the gym and training. We're able to take fights like these.
Well, you said it yourself. He's one of the best middleweights to ever do it, arguably the best middleweight to ever do it. So how do you solve this puzzle? No one's been able to beat Israel Adesanya in this middleweight division. He's got a tough task at hand, Shawn Strickland, that is, and he's someone who prides himself on the man dance. It can't just be the man dance to beat Izzy, is it?
No, it's got to be the MMA dance for sure. And yeah, like you said, Israel's a tough puzzle to solve. And Shawn also brings a different type of style that I think Izzy's been accustomed to. So we're definitely going to have to do things that we do really well, but we're going to have to hide some of the things that we don't do well. I think Izzy will exploit those things if we don't cover those up. But Shawn definitely has the skill set and the attributes to go out and be able to become world champion, which is crazy to say. Shawn Strickland world champion. But, at the end of the day, this is that fight. Like Shawn said it the best. He's like, man, I don't know when I'll ever get this opportunity. And, opportunity does not knock and then wait for you, right? And I liked even what Coach Bierman had said about Dricus. He said, he had the opportunity, he fumbled it, and now the opportunity goes on to somebody else. So the door knocked, we answered the door, and we have that opportunity to go out there and go fight, arguably the best to ever do it in middleweight.
And when you're putting together the game plan, when you're contributing to this, do you feel like there's something in Shawn Strickland's skill set that the champion has never seen before that you guys can capitalize on?
It's not that something I don't think that Izzy's ever seen, but I think that, Shawn being, we always kind of joke around like he's kind of a booger. Things come from weird angles. He's very erratic. He's not necessarily the cleanest striker, but sometimes guys that are so clean and so good at what they do, they have problems with guys with that kind of unorthodox stance, that unorthodox defense, and it takes a little while for them to catch rhythm and know what they're doing. But like we saw in the Alex Pereira fight, it didn't take Alex long, a world-class striker, to find the holes in the game. So I think of Izzy on that same standard. You don't want to play too long with a guy who can collect data really well and feint data out of you and then be able to capitalize on it. So there are some things that we're going to have to do better on our end. But I definitely feel like Shawn has the skill set to go out and shock the world.
Someone the Schmo was really excited to see at this UFC 292 fight card was former champion Cody Garbrandt in the Bantamweight division. He had a pull-out injury against Mario Batista. What happened there, Coach?
He just had some lingering injuries, some things that we we've been working on all camp long. We had 4 weeks ago, we had to do some stuff to help with that injury. And then we were hoping that we'd be good. And then the injury kind of rose again early last week. So then we took the week to try to kind of figure out how can we manage it. And if we can able to make it to the fight, we did a mock practice. And then after that practice, he called and, he just said, bro, I'm hurting again, this and that. And I just told him, bro, I don't want you to go and do a fight not feeling 100% confident. I just felt it was better off that he had to pull out, So it sucks because you put so much time and effort and work in. And same with Mario Batista and his team. I actually talked to Coach Crouch yesterday. I think the world of him. So, it is the fight game. It is the business, but I'd rather have him healthy and showing up with all of his confidence rather than at a detriment.
Well, speaking of someone with confidence, let's look at the main event. We got Sugar Sean O'Malley against Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling, he's made Vegas his second home. He's been training back and forth between these confines in the Xtreme Couture and obviously over there at Ray Longo's gym in New York.
Yeah.
Why do you feel confident in your guy, Aljamain Sterling, against Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's got a lot of momentum when it comes to the social media, the fan base, and obviously the confidence with the striking?
I mean, man, it is a great fight. It's just a classic striker versus grappler matchup. And Shawn is very good at his movements, very good at getting you to overthrow punches, and he's able to capitalize on those counters with his footwork. I think he's well coached also with Tim Welch. They have a great dynamic, those two. And then, there's Aljo who, man, like, work ethic just comes right to my mind. Like, this guy, he's in and out of camps constantly. He's training. He's constantly getting better. And not only that, man, like, he's really become like an additional coach. He's in here. He's helping everybody. And I'm not trying to throw shade, but I always feel like Aljo's like even Merab's head coach, like all the time and effort that he puts in with those guys. So, to me, like, Aljamain's always going to have that fastball, which is going to be his grappling and his wrestling, and then his creative designs on how to get onto the inside and get a hold of those body locks, those single legs. And then once he's on you, man, it's a backpack. So I'm looking forward to the matchup, and, excited for both these guys, actually.
Since you're not actually in his corner, the Schmo wants to ask you this. Do you foresee the fight going like the Corey Sandhagen fight, 88 seconds on the back, submits him? A lot of people expect that. Or do you think it's going to be more of a standing matchup? This thing's might go into the championship rounds. How do you see this one playing out?
I mean, honestly, nothing surprises me with both of these guys, and especially Aljo, who's so good at getting to those back routes, and once he's on you, he's automatically attacking for a submission. So nothing would surprise me in this fight whatsoever, but it being a 5-round fight and you have a little bit more time to work in a championship fight, I do feel like nerves do play a part, and it's this being Shawn's first time in the title, I feel like a little bit more feeling out process will be, at hand, but you never know, man. This is MMA, right? And the bell rings, you might see flying knees, you might see, Aljo throwing something off, but all in all, I think it's going to be a great fight for the fans.
Win or lose, if this is Aljamain Sterling's last fight in the bantamweight division, who do you predict would be fighting for the vacant bantamweight belt?
It's got to be Merab. I would feel like just the backstory. I know that the UFC wasn't too happy with him after the Jose Aldo fight, but how could you not be happy with him after that Peter Yan performance, right? Like, that was an amazing fight. So I just feel like just because of the backstory alone, Aljo, moving on, let's say hopefully he gets his win, he moves up to the 45-pound division for some different challenges, and that leaves that vacant spot for Merab to kind of come in and step up. Now you see Sandhagen, he's out with a tricep injury, so I don't know what the timeline leaves it to him. So, who knows who they plug in there? Nurmagomedov didn't get that fight, so I feel like he's one more fight away. And, there's a lot of things you could play, but I think that Cejudo and Merab has a nice little backstory to it.
Certainly could be there. Let's talk about someone else. Francis Ngannou, heavyweight champion of the world, crossing over to boxing, fighting Tyson Fury, the lineal boxing heavyweight champion of the world. That's going to go down October 28th. Coach, Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He was in the corner right there over here in Las Vegas training with Francis Ngannou. What do you make of everything?
I mean, it was very surreal. It was so cool, like, to meet Mike in person and be able to watch him and watch his work ethic. And he's intense, and you can see why he was the type of fighter that he was. And the workouts that we did, and just hearing his voice and hearing his ideologies when it comes to boxing. Obviously, Mike Tyson and Francis have very different body types, where Tyson's trying to get more onto the inside and use a lot of his power stuff. So taking that into consideration, we do want to get to the inside. We do want to do things with the body work and listen to Mike and some of those things that the pathways that he's telling us. So man, it was so fun just to kind of watch, like, as almost like the kid came out of me. He's like, dude, like I watched this guy growing up when I was a kid. So sitting in there and just being a part of that room and environment, just sit back and learn and watch.
But all the schmoes want to know, why does Francis Ngannou have a better opportunity at shocking the world over Tyson Fury than, let's say, a Conor McGregor had the chance over Floyd Money Mayweather?
I mean, we all know this guy has ungodly power in both hands. When he lands, when he hits you, if he hits you flush, or, we've seen it in the UFC with 4-ounce gloves, he doesn't hit somebody clean, they're still going out. So Francis has that ability to knock anybody out. And to me, no matter what, if you still have that right hand and you have the power to throw it in a 10, 12 round fight, he's always going to be in the fight no matter what if he can land that punch.
And more surface space with those big gloves too.
A lot of surface space. And, the interesting thing too, Schmo, like, how big I am on like cage control and things like that. Like, you have a lot more choke points when you have like the corner posts of the boxing ring, funneling a guy in the choke point of the cage. And then what we do in MMA, where there's more stance switches and things like that, it opens you up for some different styles of openings that I think we can exploit.
Do we know yet if Iron Mike will be in the corner of Francis Ngannou for this fight?
That I don't know. We definitely welcome to have him out there and whatever he decides. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool if he's there, and that's for sure.
Let's talk about 50K. Dan Ige, the Schmo, interviewed him over in Salt Lake City after he was announced to be fighting Bryce Mitchell, Mr. Twister himself. That's been a fight in the works for years. Dan Ige, it's a big fight for him. Obviously, he's climbing for that featherweight strap.
Yeah, it's a great fight, a fight that I think that's always been on both guys' radars, and it's a fight that I just, one of those you just know we're going to end up having to fight this guy somewhere down the line. And it makes sense. It's great matchmaking. I think it's like 12-13 in the rankings or something like that. Bryce coming off his last fight was a loss to Topuria, which is no slouch, right? Like what we've seen what Topuria's been doing. Dan coming off of 2 straight wins. So, puts us in a position to where we can go reel off 3, maybe 4 or 5, and now it puts us right back in that title hunt again. So I'm excited for this fight. Stylistically, I'm excited for it. I'm a big fan of Bryce. I'm a big fan of what he does and what he's been doing. So for us, it's go out and execute our game plan correctly and go out and have some fun.
Manel Kape, he's got a big fight also in Australia with Shawn Strickland, same card against Cody Garbrandt. Maybe a victory there. He's 1 fight away, potentially, for fighting for that flyweight strap.
Oh, man, Manel, I think this is my 4th fight with Manel, and this one has been so much fun. So much fun. Just like, being able to, I think for being in a system for a while and knowing the fighter and knowing like his skill set, knowing what I'm looking for, watching him spar now and like him understanding kind of what I'm asking for in some of the route combinations and things like that, and vice versa. Oh man, this has been an amazing camp and so much fun. And I think we all know, like, hey, a nice win off of Cody Garbrandt puts you right in that title picture, right? He's fought in Pantoja. He lost his decision to Pantoja, lost a split decision to Mateus Nicolai, and then he's been on this winning streak. So yeah, man, we got to go down to home turf for Cody Garbrandt and hopefully go out and put on a good performance.
Well, it seems like you're on the road every single week. You're already excited for Boston in his element. You got the red hair, the red beard.
That's right.
One of the kind.
Hey, man, shout out to Joe Mazzulla. He came by Xtreme Couture, brought Sam Cassell. Joe reached out to me during the offseason, and he's like, hey, I want to come by, and I just want to kind of pick your brain on some stuff. And I was blown away. I was blown away at another coach in a different sport to kind of learn from our element and what we do in the fight game. And I became, I'm not necessarily a basketball fan. I'm not a Celtics fan, but I'm a Joe Mazzulla fan after what I kind of experienced with him. So Joe's super stoked that we're going out to Boston. I'm going to go see Sam Cassell and Joe when we get out there and hang out. So, I always try to represent the city we're in, but this one's definitely a little bit more to it now that Joe and I are pretty close friends.
Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA. Jason Tatum, top 5 NBA player. So he knows talent when he sees talent.
That's right, man. Yeah. So I'm excited to get out there and have some fun.
We get a final message for all the Eric Nicksick fans out there worldwide.
I need a nap because I'm tired and all I do is work. But at the end of the day, this is what the whole goal was, and can't complain about having a full plate when the whole goal was to eat.
That's right. And when are you leaving for Australia?
August 31st.
There it is. We are out. He's the pro. I'm the schmo. Xtreme Couture.